hand, I have a beautiful picture that has a delicious beverage in it. Mr. Videographer, what would you say that beverage is?
Peach nectar.
Peach nectar. And in this hand, I have a carafe of delicious wild goose gourmet coffee. Do you think it will help the taste of the peach nectar if I pour some of the wild goose coffee into it?
No.
I think the best case scenario is it will dilute it, and the worst case scenario is it will destroy it. Whatever, in your stories and your speeches work the same way. Whatever doesn't contribute dilutes. If it doesn't help, it hurts. And so that becomes the analysis for what to include and what not to include. I want to show you how this works in real life. One of my favorite movies is Secondhand Lions. Have you seen Secondhand Lions? I love it. It is a story of two elderly, eccentric bachelor uncles who have their grandnephew dumped on them for the summer. And one night, after watching it, I decided to turn on the special features and watch the deleted scenes with commentary. And it gave me 3 techniques that I could use in editing my stories, and really it applies to speeches too. And I think that these 3 tips will help you as well. The first one is ask yourself the question, does it move the story forward? Because anything that you include should either move the plot forward or show you the metamorphosis of the character. It should give you more information about the character. So 2 scenes in there, maybe give an example. One of the story threads is how the uncles like to sit on the porch, and the way they entertain themselves is when the visiting salesmen drive up, they grab their rifles and shoot at them. Now here's one of the deleted scenes. In one of the deleted scenes, you see Walter, the nephew, seeing what his Uncle Garth is doing, and he's filling out these little cards, and what they are is invitations inviting the salesman out. See, it's a funny scene, you all laughed, it's great. But the editors decided it didn't do enough to move the story plot along, and so they snipped it, they cut it out. A second one was Uncle Garth is telling Walter, who's about junior high age, about his adventurous Uncle Hub in his earlier days, and how he was involved in a battle with an evil sheik. And you see Walter in his mind picturing the sheik, and he is old and grizzled and toothless and ugly, and then you hear Uncle Garth saying, he was actually a very handsome young sheep, and you hear the tape going back, and then Walter pictures the handsome young sheep. Again, it was funny, I loved it, but because it didn't do enough to move the plot forward, they took the scene out. So tip number 1 is ask yourself the question, does it move the plot forward or give you more information about the metamorphosis of the character? Number 2, is the information duplicated somewhere else in the story? There is a very humorous scene about how the uncles get their food. When they go fishing, they don't use fishing poles the way normal old men would. They take pistols and they shoot the catfish out of the water. So when they present the catfish for dinner on the platter, it is shot full of bullet holes. Very funny. But there's another scene that kind of duplicates it, where they show the pet pig at first, running through the house, and he's a household pet, and then after that, they're serving the pig for breakfast. And Walter's kind of, but so you still see the same odd eating habits that they have, and the 2 scenes duplicated each other. The hardest one for me to part with was the eulogy that the grown-up Walter gives at the end of the movie, and he says all these wonderful things about how great his uncles were. But at that point, you had already seen how great the uncles were. So they cut the eulogy, and you just go with the rest. So tip number 2 is, does it duplicate something that's already there? Tip number 3, no matter how good it is it just getting too long? This movie was up against almost 2 hours. And so sometimes they just ask, is it slowing down the pace too much and we just need to move it along faster? One of the threads in the movie, again, is the salesman coming up to the house to visit and them shooting. And so when they first did it, when they first filmed it, it was kind of in real time. And so you see the car driving up the dirt road and the salesman gets out and he starts to make his pitch. The uncles grab their rifles and they start shooting at him, and then he hightails it for the car and drives down the thing. Then you see the next car coming up, and one after the other. It was just too long of a sequence. And so what they ultimately did is they showed the first car coming up, and then after that it was just kind of a montage, and you see them in very quick succession coming up. And by doing that, they shortened the whole thing. Another thing that they did, they got the wrong seeds, and instead of planting a garden with many different vegetables, they planted all corn. So they had an incredible crop of corn, and at first, they're eating the corn, great platters of corn, very enthusiastically. Then they try selling the corn by the side of the road. Then you see the price reduced. Then you see they're giving it away for free. And finally, they ran out of skeet shooting targets, and so they're using the corn for skeet shooting. They wound up cutting it, as funny as it was, just because by now the overall thing is getting too long. I want to ask you a question. At the beginning of this speech, I started with the example of a delicious pitcher full of peach nectar, and should I pour the wild goose coffee into it? I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. Did that example move the speech as a whole along? Was the information duplicated someplace else? And third, with the yellow light on, should I be considering that maybe just the overall speech is too long? Those are the questions that you need to ask yourself in considering each element of your story and really of your speech as a whole.